Bo Nix, Nick Bonitto, and the Denver Broncos take on Ashton Jeanty, Maxx Crosby, and the Las Vegas Raiders in a big AFC West matchup. Now, the Denver Broncos, this is one of the best teams in the NFL. There's no doubt at this point about that. They're coming off of one of the more crazy finishes to a football game that we'll see. Overtime, Washington Commanders, Sunday Night Football. The Commanders go for two. Mariota's got an open man in the flat, and Nick Bonitto bats the ball down. The Broncos hold on. The LA Chargers would have been only a game back at that point if Denver had lost that game. Now, Denver, a nice, soft two-game cushion. Kansas City Chiefs will not be able to catch them, and Denver, more likely than not, will be able to clinch the division with a win over the Chargers in a few weeks. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders, that was a tough loss against LA. They had a chance there at halftime, right there in the game, third quarter, and then LA comes out with a touchdown drive and is really just able to stamp out and come out very strong. Tie game going into halftime, and then it's 21-7. LA just sort of flexed their muscle as an offense, running the ball. McConkey, Harris, Keenan Allen, this is a really good group of wide receivers, and they were able to take it to the Vegas team. Now, Maxx Crosby, he was a game wrecker. There's no doubt. He's been that throughout the entire season. But again, that Los Angeles Charger offensive line is one of the worst in football, certainly a lot different than what Denver played earlier on in the season in that week, a week 3 matchup. Now, the entire narrative surrounding this Broncos team is a really good one. This team has a historically good pass rush. They get after the quarterback better than anyone else in the National Football League. Mariota, though, they only got to the ground twice in that game. They've got 51 sacks. 51 sacks on the season. That's absurd through a 12-game stretch. They're on pace to get to about 60 on the year. That would be one of the best seasons in history getting after the quarterback. They do it really, really well. The only thing with them has been the health of Pat Surtain. He's a critical type player that if they want to get that first round bye, that they need him healthy and fully available on the field. I'm worried about Geno Smith's safety and his health in this game. I got to be honest with you. Giving up 5 sacks to the LA Chargers last week, and now this matchup against the best pass rush in the NFL. Jonathan Cooper, Nick Bonitto, these guys are monsters getting after the quarterback. They've been as good as anybody. And now you've got a healthy Pat Surtain roaming around in the secondary against a weaker Las Vegas Raider receiving core. He's not matched up with Brock Bowers. We wish we could see that matchup several times. That would be a heck of a lot of fun, seeing the best defensive back, the best corner in the NFL go against who's probably the best tight end in the league now. I mean, Brock Bowers is the sole bright spot. Ashton Jeanty, clearly one of those guys you're excited about. But Brock Bowers, 2 more touchdowns on the year. He's having an incredible season, and he's going to be a great player for them for a very long time. But this offensive line has been atrocious. I would argue that the Raiders have the worst offensive line right there with the LA Chargers, and they have the worst run game in the league, averaging less yards than anyone on the ground. And Ashton Jeanty, he's just been sacked 46 times. 46 times sacked in 2025, going up against a Bronco team that sacked the quarterback 51 times. He might get sacked 10 times, and I'm not joking when I say that double-digit number. This may be one of the most overmatched units from a standpoint that has zero reason to make you believe that they're going to be able to hold the Broncos off, because they can't run the football. They're not in good run blockers either this year, so not going to be able to run the football to keep that pass rush at bay. So it means Geno Smith is going to be looking at 2nd and 11, 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7 the entire day, and then that Denver Bronco pass rush gets after him. The only thing saving Geno from probably getting sacked 10 times is if they go 3 and out and they get the football out of his hands and they punt the ball 8 times and he's not sacked enough. They don't run enough offensive plays to eventually lead him to get sacked. Look, this is a Denver Bronco team now switching to their offense that has one sole mission. That is to protect the football. Bo Nix, None of the dumb mistakes. Don't turn the football over. And this is a game that you should win by 3 scores. There's no doubt about it. Contain Maxx Crosby. He needs to be double, triple teamed on every play. Don't let him wreck the game. And then Bo Nix be sound and solid. This rushing attack was quite disappointing against Washington. Thought they could lean on them somewhat. Only 87 yards. And Bo Nix had a decent enough day throwing the ball. Evan Ingram, nice game. Cortland Sutton, he's been great the whole year. A little bit of a slower game for Troy Franklin than he'd had in the past. But Pat Bryant, he was able to show up in a major way for them. Big fan of this young receiving core with Bryant and Troy Franklin coming along now. They bring in Evan Ingram from the New York Giants, and this is a unit that is able to stack up quite well, especially when you have a very talented, one of the best play callers really of all time in Sean Payton. Then the backfield, Harvey, and then at some point, hopefully J.K. Dobbins is available for the stretch playoff run. To getting him back and healthy will be crucial, because that balance with Harvey, who's got those wheels, he's been so good. When you watch him out of UCF and then they take him in the second round with that 4.4 speed, there's no doubt about him being a major factor for this offense going forward. So Denver, look, this team is fighting tooth and nail to get to that number 1 seed in the AFC. They have to keep pace with the New England Patriots, and this is where the schedule tightens up right after this game. This is the game they're supposed to win by three scores, and then it's hunker down game against a tough Jaguar team, and then it's at but after that you got the Green Bay Packers at home, then the Jaguars, at the Chiefs, and then the Chargers. So you've got 4 very tough games against teams that are no worse than 8-4. Chargers and the Jaguars are both 8-4. Green Bay 8-3-1 right now, and then the Kansas City Chiefs at 6-6. They're worse than that mark, but they are led by Patrick Mahomes. No matter what the record is going into that game, you'd imagine the Chiefs might be in a possible spot where they got to win that last game to be able to fight to be in there for the playoffs. So this Denver team, they're playing some quasi, susceptible to loss football. They're a play away from losing, and frankly, that would have been devastating towards their chances to get that 1 seed, because the Patriots still play the Miami Dolphins. They still play the Jets. So they're right there. They're going to get 2 more wins for sure and be somewhere at 13 or 14 wins. The least amount that they're going to get is going to be that 13 mark. And it's going to be down to the wire. And the conference record is interesting because they're sitting there at the exact same mark as it stands right now. But for the Raiders, how do they stay in this game? It's hard for me to see a path when you have an offensive line that's played that poorly. It's more on the defensive side of the ball. It's pressuring Bo Nix. It's limiting any of the deep plays, the explosives, forcing the Denver Broncos to march the football down the field, and you're able to get stops. So they go for it on 4th down, and you get a takeaway, or you make them kick field goals. That's really the only way that Denver is in a 1-score game in the 4th quarter of this one, because the Raiders, they're not going to score more than 17 points. That's about the limit here right now in this matchup. I've got them scoring probably around 10-13. That's how good Denver has been defensively this season. If there is a knock on Denver, it's probably them. I would say the time of possession, turnover differential, right there, middle of the league. 30 minutes a game is right in the middle, 16th in the league, and then 19th in turnover differential with -3. So they don't take the ball away in bunches, but why don't they? It's because teams are sacked and they have to punt. They have so many more punts they are forcing than other teams. This is a little bit different when you force punts and teams aren't turning the ball over, because those in a way are a turnover, because then you get the football right back, maybe with not quite as good field position as if you had that takeaway. And we know that this Raider offense scoring 15 points a game, that's second to last. 260 yards a game, that's third to last in the league. There's few paths for them, and so it would look like a dominant performance from Crosby. The defense coming up with takeaways, stops down by the red zone, and it'd be very difficult to see all of that. But Brock Bowers, he's the type of X factor that you look at. He has a monster day in this game. 12 catches, he's able to muster 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, then they're able to have a chance. But they get the ball in the red zone, has to be a touchdown. They get the ball in the red zone twice, they got to score touchdowns. If they're settling for field goals, frankly, the Denver Broncos don't even care because they feel over the course of 4 quarters, their pass rush is going to get after the quarterback. And then it's just Ashton Jeanty. Can he break enough tackles? If he has one-on-ones to break those, he hasn't this season. If he did, you would have a better shot. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos with a massive win in this game. I think that the score will be a little bit tighter. I give the Raiders a bit more credit for the defense, the way they played against the Chargers, holding down in the red zone. It's exactly how it is. An interception from Herbert. The Chargers went for it on 4th and 1 and got stuffed. So instead of them being up 21-7, or let's just say 17-7 at the half, it's 7-7. You can pull that off once again against Denver, and people will probably agree that Justin Herbert's and that Charger offense with those weapons are better than what the Broncos are working with. They just have a far superior offensive line that you could see a path where this is a 10-7 game going into the second half, or it's 9-6, something along those lines. But I'm going to go 26-13. Denver Broncos get the win on the road, and they maintain pace with the New England Patriots in that AFC push for the number 1 seed in the conference. They would be right there. They would both be 11-2 in this scenario, and actually Denver would move into the number 1 seed in the AFC because they would be 7-2 in the conference, whereas the Patriots would be 6-2. So Denver would move into the number 1 seed with a victory just to where they were before that New England win on Monday night against the Giants. So let me know down below in the comments whether you agree, disagree with the prediction, who you think wins this game. Do you believe it's just too much of a task for Geno Smith and the Raiders to handle, or do you see them having a bit more shot than I'm letting on here in a home game at Allegiant Stadium? So I appreciate you guys so much for watching. This is the best time of year, early December. We got playoff implications, seeding implications. Look, that 1 seed is more coveted now. There's only one first round bye. It goes to the top seed in the conference. That means you get 1 home win, and you're playing in the championship game and 60 minutes away from the Super Bowl. That 1 seed is the most coveted part of the entire sport of football right now. And then there's college football, Big Ten title game, Ohio State, Indiana, SEC championship game, Alabama, Georgia with another rematch. Those guys have squared off in big moments. The 3rd time they played in the SEC title game in 5-6 years. A rematch of the national championship game a few years ago. So college football is heading towards the playoff. We'll have the bracket out and know all the matchups by this upcoming Sunday morning. By the time you watch, the Broncos and Raiders will know all the CFP matchups, so we'll be excited for that. So if you're a big college fan, big NFL fan, stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button to catch out more Blitz of Blender content. I'm Josh Blender. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blender, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blender. To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.